wisely and seeing the same story repeated. Now, I'm throwing at you a question that perhaps I should be asking my fellow Kenyans, but I want to throw it at you anyway. What kind of leadership should we be looking for in 2012 that perhaps could be a different story for Kenya than what we have had?
It's a tough question, and we'll have to see how things sort themselves out as the candidates put forth their vision for the future. But I think, as Florence said, we need leaders that have integrity. We need leaders that understand that they're servants of the people. Servant leadership. It's so very important. And we need leaders that understand where Kenya needs to be in 2030. And 2030 is not just a buzzword. At 2.9% population growth, we're going to have about 80 million people in 2030. We're going to need schools. We're going to need roads. We're going to need infrastructure. If you think traffic's bad right now with 40, 20 years from now with the population doubling every 20 years, this is serious. And we need a leader right now who understands how do we not do Magendo? How do we not have to do this crazy system where you have to pay bribes to get the right thing done? But how do we move forward with accountable governments? Governments where everybody has an equal chance, where everybody can contribute. You have 70% of the people under 35 years old. And many of those people are underemployed or not employed. The private sector, the public sector have to come together and build jobs and create wealth and make opportunities. And private sector investment in small and medium enterprises has to happen. And you're right. When you said before, you just can't wait with your hands out like this. You got to start working hard. And I think that's so important. The other thing is in the public sector, we have people in Kenya that are not having an equal opportunity to get educated. We have people with disabilities that don't have a fair chance to get ahead and contribute. Just because they might not be able to walk, their brains are bright, they've got wonderful ideas, they smile, and we were up at Joytown last week. It's unbelievable, but yet we cast those kinds of people off. We are not taking care of Kenyans in the way we should in some cases, and we really need to work harder. We shouldn't have to have Kenyans for Kenya. We should be working right now to plan ahead in terms of making more food, making food security, that kind of thing. We're kicking off tomorrow. I just would like to put a plug in. We, under the leadership of the government of Kenya and the senior leaders of Kenya, are working in partnership to put together a program that will kick off tomorrow. That's what this button's about, Let's Live. It's a program where in the next year, by December 2012, we're going to cut the mortality rates in Kenya in half by 50%.
12 months.
12 months.
I have a question to the ambassador. Now, if you look at a country like Kenya, and we look at the issue of leadership that is being discussed, I think we should really go deep and understand why we are in the state we are in today. Insecurity in Kenya caused by fear of the unknown. And what I am saying here is that the unknown is the other tribe monster concept. If you don't belong to my tribe, you're a monster. And therefore, leadership proliferation in Kenya is actually bad by that connotation that the person who does not belong to your tribe does not relate appropriately to you. And in that way, we can actually not exercise leadership appropriately in this country. That said, Mr. Ambassador, and connected to your job, and connected to the first slide that Pete showed this morning, the 1940s, there was a Marshall Plan for Europe. For us to bring this country to some level of understanding and remove the monster barrier, we need some level of economic performance that gives us that level playing field. What would your comment be?
I think that there's a lot of opportunity for an economic growth. But let me just first say that Kenyans themselves are going to have to decide that they want to be Kenyans first and the different tribes second. there's good reasons for being proud in your tribe. There's good reasons for taking those cultural, tribal standards and living them out. I'm all for that. But I'm also all for you all understand that you're Kenyans first. And this is where I see a problem that we all have to develop and work through. I mean, not develop, but attack and work through. When it comes right down to it, in a country that's successful, when given the priority between being a Kenyan or being a tribal member, being a Kenyan should come first. And unfortunately, there's a lot of times